Now, fiscal literacy, when I think about this, like I love what Dave Savage is doing with the Home IQ and educating the public, right? Educating high school kids, educating people who don't have access to this information because of the community they grew up in or their social networks or whatever the reality is. Not everyone has this information. But you're right. Starts with educating yourself, and then I have to assume the best way to get this information out is to do what classes? I mean, is this where first-time home buyers classes come in, educational type outreach?
I think you have to live it. I think you have to be it. You have to live it. You have to talk about it. And when I say you have to live it, you have to be financially literate yourself. Now, we're all in the mortgage industry. We should be financially literate. The reality of it is you and I see the numbers in our region, which our region's not any different than any other region for any other big mortgage company, right? You've got a small percentage at the top that are making a decent income, regardless of the market. You got the rich and the rest.
Right.
The rest, you and I know that you cannot pay your mortgage, you cannot pay your bills closing one loan or less a month, maybe even two loans or less a month. And there's a lot of people closing less than one or two mortgages a month. There's some that go a month or so without closing a home loan. And so I think there's an opportunity. I use that as motivation. So when I did our business planning for my two branches, for Everett and Kirkland, it was a 3-hour business planning workshop. And we spent probably 2 hours of that just on their money. Just understanding budgeting, understanding financial literacy, understanding, do you know your number? And your number is, do you know your number that it takes to retire? How much money do you need in the bank to apply the 5% rule to that money to then live off of? And the majority of our loan officers did not know that. And so it starts with us. We need to understand that, and then when you understand it and you live it, and you're cautious of it, you start talking that way to your clients. So I have a financial conversation with all my clients. I don't care if they're multimillionaires, and if they are, cool. Hey, who is your financial planner? I'd love to chat with them. Cool, you've done very well. What are some keys to your success? So you can learn from like 2 or 3 people in my whole entire career have been super wealthy. The majority of them, let's just be real, the majority of them need wealth help, right? So I think it starts with talking with them about that. Hey, do you understand that you can literally contribute almost $24,000 a year pre-tax? It's called a 401k. Most employers have some type of a match program. How are you leveraging that? So we start with that. Most of them don't even know the answer to that question. Oh, I'm contributing. Oh, cool. How much? I don't know. I'm just contributing. Okay, cool. Maybe it's a good time to reach out to HR, your HR, and talk about that because they've increased that over the last couple of years.
Well, having these conversations with your borrower, I think, first of all, most loan officers don't do it. Mm-mm. And the thing that it does is it shows your clients that you care genuinely, not just about getting paid for this it takes it from a transactional relationship to I care about your family, your legacy, and how you're going to get on, in life. And I can help give you pointers, advice. I specialize in mortgage financing, but all of these things are important. And if I can help open your eyes to those, make introductions to people who can help you in those other areas, or just bring awareness of how homeownership can help you, expand into these areas. I think it takes the conversation from a transactional, many times, what's your rate conversation to a man. This guy not only is super knowledgeable, he's someone I want as part of my sphere of influence, right? Someone that I'm learning from. Yeah. And he's going to help me with my mortgage as well. I mean, it transforms the relationship. It's
the questions and the conversations, and this is what I'm really trying to get home in I don't call it coaching anymore, but my role in our region, on top of being a producer and a branch manager, is your regional sales coach or trainer. What I'm training on right now is having better conversations with your clients. So for example, when you have that initial conversation with a borrower, most of the time it's, I'm going to get you pre-approved. And then it's all based off of credit, income, debt, cash, down payment, monthly payment, stuff like that, right? And most loan officers do an average to below average job there. The difference between the best and some of the best that you follow in the mortgage coach community, we, in that initial conversation, our conversation is like, hey, Tony, you've gone to a family physician before, a family practice physician before, right? For your annual checkup. because you got a cold, right? You don't just go in there and have a checkup and that doctor goes, well, I know you mentioned there's a few other things going wrong right now that aren't going really right. You know, you've had this knee pain for years. Yeah, just go ahead and go find someone to help you out with that. I can't help you with that, right? But the doctor knows the human body. The doctor should have a connection to a leg and joint and foot specialist, right? And they do. Right. And they have enough knowledge to be like, yeah, that's off. You know, that's probably a ligament damage or a cartilage issue. Here's what I think. I'm going to suggest you do this, right? That's no different than us. We should be financially literate. We have their bank statements. We have their investment statements. We have their pay stubs. We can see what they are or are not contributing. We can see what they are or are not earning. We have their bank statements so we can see what they're spending, what's left over. Take a little bit extra time. And when you have that conversation up front, when you work with me, I'm going to help you get the best mortgage. I'm going to help you get the mortgage that factors into your short-term, your long-term goals. But here's the thing. I really believe that the mortgage, the home that you buy right now, if you zoom out 10 years, that $700,000 home is going to be worth $1.5 million. It just is. You have to trust the data.
Right.
I mean, for the last 50 years, it is what it is. Look at all the homes you've owned, all the homes I've owned. It's just going to be worth $1.5 million. You can fight it all you want, or you can realize that in 10 years, you're going to have about $700,000 equity. Now, 200 of that or more, depending on what you put down, 200 plus. So you're going to have $500,000 that is under the cap gains laws that you're going to be able to, you're going to be tax free on, right?
Right.
But there's going to be a component of that you're going to get hit with on your taxes. Are you aware of that? No, I'm not aware of that. So then I always tell the story, like my friends and my family members think I'm crazy because every 3 to 5 years, Dan and Jenny move. Well, there's reason for that. We've got $500,000 in equity, and I already pay a crud ton of taxes.
Right.
So I don't want to do that again. And they're like, oh, wow. So it starts to make sense. Plus, do you know your number? So when you have conversations like that with people, you just hit it right on the head. The focus is more on this dude's a financial expert and my mortgage guy versus just he does mortgages. So the conversation is going to be centered around rates and fees.
Right. Exactly. Well, and I don't think it's hard to do. You know, first of all, you have to control the conversation. Mm-hmm. You have to know with intention when you get into that conversation, what are the things that you're going to talk about?
Yep.
And you got to educate yourself, which is not difficult to do if you just make it a commitment to learn this stuff. And for God's sake, it's your career. Like, why wouldn't you take the time to learn this stuff yourself, you know, or get a coach, get a mentor, get a teacher who can help you with that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's your money too. I mean, you think about it. I mean, people are like, I'll never forget Rob Hallam. I love Rob. And Rob was one of your best branch managers for years. When I first came on board about 3 years ago, when I came back to New American Funding, he goes, yeah, I heard your coaching call, your training call. And he was like, I just don't feel comfortable talking about money with my clients. And I even went as far as, the loan officers, branch managers should be talking to their loan officers and coaching them on their money. And he was like, yeah, and I don't feel comfortable talking to my loan officers about their money. 2 years later, and Rob and I have a really great relationship. He sees it now. He's like, wow, like this stuff's important. This stuff's valuable. And Rob's done well with his money, right? And I said, Rob, that was the only thing I told him. I said, Rob, you've got all the wisdom and you've got all the experience and you've done very well with your money. A lot of these loan officers under us, they're just getting started and they have no clue. Yeah. They need guys like you and I to say, hey, we made these mistakes, or hey, we did this really good, or hey, this is just the financial fundamentals of money. Just do this.
Yeah.
And 10 years from now, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I agree with you. Rob is probably one of the most studious people I've seen with his money, who set himself up and his family up, and people could learn a lot from Rob. But, like you said, we're keeping it all a secret.
We need those guys to talk.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Share.